The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council blazed with silver light. Vast banners of alien empires hung from the towering walls, shimmering with the crests of species that had ruled the stars for millennia. Every seat was filled scaled lords of the Velen, crystalline, Ilari scholars, insectoid core hive mothers, and dozens of other races with luminous eyes, tendrils, or plated hides. They had gathered for one reason, to judge the newest petitioners to the council. And now, on the central dais, stood a lone human commander Elias Corrin. Earth's representative adjusted the collar of his black uniform. His shoulders were squared, but the storm in his chest threatened to break. Billions of alien citizens across the galaxy were watching the live broadcast. Billions were waiting to see whether Earth, scarred by wars and whispers of barbarism, would be admitted as an equal, or dismissed as a primitive world. The council speaker's booming voice echoed, "Present to us the might of your species. What weapons do the Death Worlders bring to our galaxy?" Holographic screens flickered. To life, images of Earth's military forces appeared, columns of ancient steel tanks, the treads grinding across deserts, their barrels rising like blunt spears. The council chamber erupted in laughter. A chorus of alien voices mocked humanity. "Primitive. Shells of iron," hissed a Velen warlord. "These are relics from your planet's infancy," jeered a core matriarch, her mandibles clicking. "You expect us to fear these toys?" The laughter grew, echoing like thunder. Elise's jaw tightened. His hand brushed the small black case at his side, a case that hummed softly, almost alive. His heart pounded. He could still hear the voices of Earth's leaders telling him, "Show them nothing. Not yet. Not until they mock us." The mockery rose into jeers, hisses, and even applause at Earth's humiliation. Elias finally raised his hand, his voice low but steady. "You laugh at our tanks. You call us weak, but you have no idea what we are." Chamber fell silent, confusion rippling through the alien council. Lyra Vey, the Ilari ambassador with crystalline skin that glowed like starlight, narrowed her gem-like eyes. She alone did not laugh. "Human," she said softly, her voice like, "Breaking glass? What are you hiding?" The lights in the chamber suddenly flickered. Across the galaxy, viewers frowned as their holoscreens distorted with static. A ripple of power rolled across the void. Above Earth, the stars themselves seemed to vanish. Something vast, something ancient was rising from the dark ocean. A metallic shape, larger than any alien dreadnought, broke the surface. Waves crashed against its armored hull as water poured in rivers down its sides. The council members froze. The laughter died. The camera zoomed in, catching the first gleam of blue light flaring across the warship's surface. Lines of energy crawled across its skin like veins of lightning. Elias stood tall on the dais, his eyes reflecting the glow. "These," he whispered, "are not tanks. They are keys. And tonight, humanity turns the lock." The chamber erupted into chaos. The last shot of the broadcast showed the Titan-class warship, named UNS Vindicator, fully emerging from Earth's ocean. Its main cannon turning upward, toward the stars, toward the Council fleet silently orbiting. Above, the screen went black. Hours earlier, beneath the waves of the Pacific Ocean, steel doors thicker than mountains had grown open. Salt water rushed into tunnels carved centuries ago. For generations, the Phoenix Initiative had been a myth, a story whispered in war colleges and dismissed as propaganda. But deep below the seabed, hidden from alien eyes, humanity had been preparing Dr. Robert Chen, the last surviving architect of the initiative, stood on a trembling command platform. His fingers flew across ancient consoles as warning klaxons wailed. "Power conduits stabilizing," his assistant shouted. "The core is active." The water boiled as the Vindicator's engines ignited, sending geysers miles into the sky. From inside, Captain Amara Vance felt the deck plates rumble beneath her boots. Her heart pounded as she gripped the command chair. "All systems online," the ship's AI intoned, its voice deep and resonant. "Designation, UNS Vindicator." Awaiting command input, Mara whispered. "It's real. It's actually real." On the surface, fishermen wept as the ocean parted. A city-sized titan of steel and fire lifted itself free, gleaming in the sunlight. The world watched as humanity's ancient tanks gave way to something far greater. In the Galactic Council chamber, the laughter had turned to fury. "You deceived us," roared the Velen warlord, his scaled claws scraping the marble floor. "You bring forbidden weapons into our galaxy?" hissed another. But one voice cut through the chaos. Ambassador Lyra Vey's crystalline form glowed faintly, her eyes locked on Elias. "No, they did not build this. They unearthed it. That ship is older than your species' current age, older than our council itself." Whispers spread through the chamber like fire in dry grass. Could it be true? The humanity's primitive tanks were mere echoes of an empire that once stretched across the stars. Elias said nothing. He only placed his hand on the black case again. Inside hummed the command key, the only device capable of waking the Titan fleet. One by one, oceans across Earth boiled. From the Mariana Trench rose the Uns dauntless. From the Arctic ice, the Uns resolute. From the depths of the Atlantic, the Uns horizon, 7 more Titan-class warships roared to life, shaking the planet as they broke free from their underwater tombs. Each was larger than a city, armored with metals no alien could identify, their weapon systems older than most known. Civilizations, the people of Earth poured into the streets, staring upward as their sky filled with colossal silhouettes. Children pointed in awe, while veterans of Earth's wars wept at the sight. "We were never weak," whispered an old soldier, saluting the rising Titans. On the bridge of the Vindicator, alarms blared. A fleet of alien warships had dropped out of FTL above Earth. Thousands of sleek silver holes blocked the stars, their plasma cannons glowing with lethal light. Captain Amara's voice was steady but cold. "Open a channel. Let them hear us." Static cleared. The alien commander, a towering insectoid with burning green eyes, filled the view screen. "You dare defy the Council. Your planet is condemned. Your primitive machines will be ashes in the void." Mara didn't flinch. She simply placed her hand over the glowing console, where the ancient AI pulsed with light. "You wanted to see our weapons?" she said, then looked to the skies. The Vindicator's main cannon ignited, glowing brighter than the sun. The alien commander's mandibles froze in mid-threat. From orbit, the Council fleet unleashed a storm of plasma fire. 1,000 beams lashing down toward Earth. The camera zoomed in on Amara's face, eyes blazing with both fear and unshakable resolve. "Fire," she whispered. The screen cut to black. The ocean burned. A wall of steam roared upward as if Earth itself had chosen to breathe fire. From the deep trench beneath the Pacific, something vast and metallic pushed free of its watery grave. On the deck of a crumbling aircraft carrier, thousands of refugees clutched one another, staring wide-eyed as the waves rose around them. A boy pointed toward the horizon. "Look, another one." Through the smoke and spray, a colossal shadow emerged. First came the glint of steel, then a mountain of armored plating. A towering warship, larger than any the humans had ever admitted. 2 owning rose from the sea. Water cascaded from its sides like a falling ocean. Its engines' monolithic rings of blue plasma ignited, glowing so bright that night turned to day. Civilians screamed. Soldiers dropped to their knees and around. The galaxy, trillions of aliens gasped in disbelief. High above, in orbit, the Council fleet adjusted its formation. Silver dreadnoughts, sleek and elegant, turned their cannons toward Earth. The alien commander, a massive insectoid admiral named Zurek Tal, stared at his tactical screens in shock. "This is not possible," he hissed, mandibles clicking. Planet was rated a death world, not a forge of titans. Far below, inside the heart of the newly risen warship, Dr. Robert Chen wiped condensation from a glowing console. His hands trembled, not with fear, but with awe. "All these years," he whispered, "they thought our tanks were the pinnacle. They never knew those machines were practice training wheels." He looked at Captain Amara Vance, who stood on the command dais, her black uniform still damp from the ocean spray. Her eyes scanned the holographic displays with razor focus. "Status?" she asked. "Reactor stable. Weapons online. The Phoenix core is awake." The ship's AI voice resonated through the chamber, deep and ancient, designation confirmed. UNS Vindicator. Crew complement. Operational. Awaiting directives, Captain. Amara swallowed hard. She felt the weight of every human being watching. This was no longer a secret project. This was Earth's last hope. "Bring us to orbit." She ordered, "Form up with the others. Let them see what we are." Across the globe, oceans foamed and split apart. From the depths of the Atlantic, a second giant ship-hunt's horizon rose with a thunderous groan, its surface glowing with ancient runes that pulsed like beating hearts. From under the Arctic ice, the UNS Resolute punched through, scattering glaciers like shards of glass. In the Indian Ocean, the UNS Aegis soared skyward, followed by the UN's Dominion. UN's Ironclad, UN's Tempest, and the last, the largest of all, the UN's Eternity, dwarfing even the Council's greatest vessels. The Phoenix Fleetate Titanic warships climbed into the blackness of space, water cascading off their armor like tears shed by the planet itself. On every screen across the galaxy, beings of every kind watched in silence. The laughter was gone. Reptilian jaws hung open. Sectoid antennae twitched with fear. The crystalline Ilari pulsed with nervous light. In the Galactic Council chamber, panic spread like wildfire. "This cannot be." One elder screeched. "They were forbidden from wielding such technology?" shouted another. "They were supposed to be primitive." Ambassador Lyra Vey remained still, her glassy skin shimmering faintly with inner light. She stared at Elias Corrin, the lone human among them. "Those are not new ships," she whispered, her crystalline voice trembling. "Those are relics." Elias met her gaze. His face was calm now, though his heart thundered in his chest. "Our ancestors built these long before your council crawled from your oceans," he said. "You mock our tanks." But the tanks were only the beginning. The council speaker's voice thundered again. "You dare unleash forbidden weapons in our presence? This is treachery." Elias did not flinch. "This is survival." Above Earth, the alien fleet shifted into battle formation. Dreadnoughts locked weapons, thousands of cannons glowing white-hot. The Vindicator's sensors filled with red warning sigils. "Admiral Zyrek has given the order," reported the AI. "They will fire in 60 seconds." Captain Amara gripped the command chair. Around her, the human crew jung. Untested soldiers looked at her with both fear and trust. "This is our first battle," she whispered, mostly to herself. "We can't afford to lose." Dr. Chen stepped closer, lowering his voice. "God! Phoenix core is ready, but Captain, once you fire it, the galaxy will know. The secret will be gone forever." Amara's eyes didn't leave the tactical display. 8 Titan-class warships, glowing like newborn stars, drifted into formation. For the first time in history, Earth had a fleet that could challenge the galaxy. "They wanted to see our strength," she said. "Then let them see it." On Earth, billions held their breath. Soldiers in bunkers gripped their rifles, though they were useless against orbital fire. Families huddled in shelters, watching the holo screens in the council chamber. The alien delegates rose in alarm, voices overlapping, demanding explanations. Demanding blood, Ambassador Lyra looked around at her fellow counselors, disgust on her glowing face. "You fools, you've awakened something you cannot control." The Velen warlord snarled. "Enough. If humanity defies us, then humanity dies. Fire the obelisk." A shiver ran through the chamber. Even the bravest aliens recoiled at those words. The obelisk was not a rumor to them. It was real, and it was their ultimate weapon. Elias turned his head slowly, his eyes narrowing. "So, you did keep it." Orbit, the first council salvo, fell like a storm of white fire. Plasma beams, thick as towers, rained down toward Earth. The Vindicator's shields flared, bending light into auroras that spread across the sky. On the surface, people saw a dome of blazing blue light form above them. The beams struck, thunder rolling across continents. Cities trembled. The oceans boiled again, yet the dome held. Inside the Vindicator, alarms screamed, panels sparked. And the crew fought to stabilize the shields. Impact sustained. The AI announced. Shields at 80%. Counterstrike ready. Mara rose from her chair. She could feel the ancient warship's power thrumming through the floor. This ship was alive, waiting for her word. Target the nearest cruiser, she ordered. The main cannon began to glow, brighter and brighter until it drowned out the starlight. On the Council flagship, Admiral Zyrek's mandibles clicked in fear for the first time in his life. This cannot be happening.
The Vindicator's cannon reached full charge. A sun was being born inside its core on Earth. The boy on the aircraft carrier shielded his eyes as the sky turned white. Elias, still standing in the Council.
Chamber whispered so all the galaxy could hear. You laughed at our tanks, but you will not laugh at this. The cannon fired, screen cuts to black. The sky above Earth split in half. From the blackness of space came a storm of fire. Thousands of alien warships unleashed their weapons at once. Beams of white energy burned across the void, ripping through the atmosphere like spears of light. Billions of humans on the surface screamed as the heavens themselves seemed to fall, and yet something even brighter answered. The UNS Vindicator. The first Titan-class warship, awakened from the ocean depths, charged its main cannon. Blue plasma energy roared through colossal conduits, building into a star-bright sphere at the ship's bow. The sound reverberated through every steel-decked plate. Inside, Captain Amara Vance stood at her command chair, her face bathed in the glow, her heart thundering. Target locked, the ship's AI intoned, voice deep as a god's whisper. Fire. The cannon erupted. A beam of raw light slashed through the void. It didn't just burn, it erased. Alien cruiser, a ship that had once been considered unstoppable, simply ceased to exist. One instant it was there, its silver hull gleaming with alien pride. The next it was shards of molten metal scattering across the stars. Silence gripped the galaxy. On the Council floor, the laughter died for good. Alien lords who had mocked humanity sat frozen, their jaws hanging open, their many eyes wide with terror. Even the mighty Admiral Zirek Tal of the Core Hive stood motionless, his mandibles twitching in disbelief. Impossible, he rasped. No Deathworld primitive, no child species could do this. Elias Corrin finally smiled, and that was when the oceans boiled again. Across every continent, the seas roared louder. From the depths, one by one, more Titans emerged. The UN's horizon split the Atlantic open, its hull blazing like a newborn star. The UN's Resolute tore through the Arctic ice, showering the skies with frozen shards. The UN's Aegis climbed into the heavens with firestorms swirling around its shields. 8 colossi of steel and plasma gathered above Earth, dwarfing even the largest alien dreadnoughts. Their hulls bore markings older than any human nation's symbols. From a forgotten age, carved deep into alloy that had never rusted. On the surface, crowds filled every city square. Children clutched their parents' hands, pointing upward at the impossible sight. Old veterans who had once fought in Earth's last wars saluted through tears. The Earth had always been mocked as fragile, as weak, as temporary. But now the truth was plain. Humanity had been preparing in silence. The Alien Council was breaking apart. The Ilari, glowing crystalline beings who prized knowledge above all, looked at one another with panic. Their leader, Lyra Vey, spoke with a voice like breaking glass. These ships are not of this age. Do you not feel it? The hum of ancient power? This is precursor technology. Humanity did not build these. They are awakening what was left for them. Blasphemy, roared a Navian delegate, feathers flaring crimson. Humans are savages, nothing more. Their tanks were laughable, their weapons crude. This is a trick. Trick, Lyra snapped, her crystalline body glowing with rising fury. That blast just erased a battlecruiser. Does that look like a trick to you? Round her, chaos swelled. Some demanded Earth's immediate extermination. Others whispered in fear, doubting the Council's long-held narrative of human weakness. Zyrek slammed a clawed fist on the table, the sound cracking like thunder. I will not be humiliated by primitives. Deploy the fleet. Crush them before more of these monsters rise from their oceans. The council chamber erupted again. Elias Corrin stood silently in the center of the storm, his hand resting on the black command key at his hip. His dark eyes were steady, unflinching. Your fear speaks louder than your words, he said. You know what we are? In orbit. The battle began. The alien fleet surged forward, thousands of sleek warships unleashing endless streams of plasma fire. The void became a storm of white light, a river of destruction crashing against the glowing blue shields of the Phoenix fleet. Inside the Vindicator, the deck trembled. Sparks rained from the ceiling as the shields took hit after hit. Shields at 70%, shouted the AI. Divert power from secondary systems, Amara barked. Keep us in the fight. The Titans answered her call. 8 colossal ships rotated into formation, their massive cannons charging with shimmering energy. The sound inside the Vindicator was like the beating of a heart made of thunder. Fire in sequence, Amara ordered. The Horizon struck first, its cannon slicing through an alien battleship. The Resolute followed, igniting a carrier in a flash of light. The Aegis unleashed a beam that shattered 3 frigates in one sweep. Across the galaxy, trillions of alien eyes watched in stunned silence. The invincible Council Armada, the pride of the stars, was being ripped apart in moments by the very species they had mocked as primitive. On Earth, hope roared louder than the storm. Crowds cheered as alien ships exploded in orbit. Children danced in the streets, pointing at the glowing titans above. For the first time in centuries, humanity felt like more than survivors. It felt unstoppable. But in the council chamber, terror spread like wildfire. Some alien leaders fled the hall. Others begged for negotiations. The Velen warlord, red eyes blazing, screamed for vengeance. Lyra Vey stood frozen, watching Elias with a mix of awe and dread. You were never weak, she whispered. You were hiding. Elias said nothing. He only clenched the command key tighter. On the bridge of the Council's flagship, Admiral Zyrek bared his fangs. Activate the obelisk, he commanded. The order struck fear into even his own officers. One of them hesitated. Admiral, the obelisk was never meant to be used. It draws power from DuIT. Zyrek roared, his mandibles dripping with venom. Far beyond the Council fleet, the darkness shifted. A shape emerged, vast, ancient, and unnatural. It was not built of metal, but of black stone that drank in the light of the stars. Energy pulsed within it like a beating heart, each throb sending waves of distortion across space. The galaxy watched in dread. Even the Titans, with their glowing cores, seemed small beside the obelisk. Dr. Chen paled. His voice trembled as he spoke to Amara. That isn't theirs. That's ours. What's left of it. The obelisk is human, relic from the First Empire, the one that fell long before history. They've kept it buried, fearing this very day. Amara turned to him, her voice low. Then they know exactly what it can do. Yes, Shen whispered. On every alien world. Citizens watched in terror as the obelisk opened like a black flower, revealing a core brighter than a sun. Energy gathered in its heart, warping space itself. On Earth, the oceans glowed blue as the Phoenix fleet aligned, preparing for the impossible. In the council chamber, Lyra's crystal body flickered with panic. She looked at Elias. If they fire that weapon, it will tear your world apart. Elias closed his eyes, his hand tightening around the humming black case. He whispered only one sentence, his voice carrying across the chamber. Then let us see whose stars truly shatter. The obelisk's core flared, and the screen went black. The Galactic Council chamber was no longer a hall of order. It was chaos, holographic. Screens still burned with the image of a council dreadnought, splitting apart under the impossible fire of a human Titan warship. Sparks from shattered consoles showered the marble floor. Delegates shrieked in a dozen alien tongues. Some clawed at their translation implants as if the words, being spoken could not be real. Your ships, your tanks were supposed to be obsolete, roared the scaled Velen warlord, slamming a claw the size of a sword against the council floor. His voice echoed like thunder. And yet you bring forth city-sized war machines? This is deception. This is blasphemy. The Ilari ambassador Lyra Vey rose slowly, her crystalline body glowing with cold light. Her many-faceted eyes locked on Commander Elias Corrin. It's the lone human standing in the center of the chamber. This is no deception, she said, voice sharp as shattered glass. What I saw, all of you saw, was not new technology. It was old. Older than our empires, older than the council itself. The delegates fell silent. The idea was unthinkable. That humanity mocked as weaklings from a dangerous backwater planet might be heirs to something ancient and terrible. Elias said nothing. His hand rested firmly on the black command key, its surface humming with hidden power. He simply looked up at the massive hologram of the UNS Vindicator as it rose higher into orbit, joining its brothers, and then the chamber shook, not with laughter this time, but with fear. The obelisk was awakening. Activate the obelisk at full capacity. Zirik Tal, the core admiral, bellowed. His compound eyes glowed emerald with rage. We will burn their world to ash before they rise. A chorus of insectoid voices clicked in approval, but across the chamber, voices rose in protest. You cannot, cried a slender Ilari elder, her crystalline form pulsing with crimson. Light. The obelisk was sealed for a reason. If it awakens fully, it will not stop with Earth. It will consume stars, entire systems. The Uruth, massive beasts of stone and molten veins, rumbled in their seats. Perhaps it is better that way. But the humans learned their place in the void. Lyra slammed her crystalline hand on the council table, a crack spreading through the surface. You laugh at them, yet you fear them. That warship is a fragment of their past. If they still carry the knowledge of the old empire, then they are not our prey. They are our doom or our salvation. The chamber fell into shouting. Again, whole factions screamed for war. Others begged for diplomacy. The council, once a symbol of unity, was splitting apart. And in the center of it all, Elias Corrin stood silent. His eyes were locked on the flickering hologram of Earth. 8 Titan-class warships were now in orbit, their hulls blazing with blue light, their cannons glowing like the cores of newborn suns. He finally spoke, his voice steady but cold. You wanted proof of our strength? You will have it. Remember this. We did not come here to beg for acceptance. We came here to remind you who we are. The words struck the chamber like a thunderclap. The bridge of the Vindicator was alive, with light. The warship systems pulsed with energy. Its ancient AI whispering commands into the minds of the crew. Plasma batteries at full charge. Quantum lances aligned. Enemy fleet within range. Captain Amara Vance stood tall, her uniform still damp from the sea, her dark hair plastered to her face. Around her, young soldiers worked their stations, hands trembling but determined. Ma'am, said Lieutenant Rourke, his voice tight. There are too many of them. Even with all 8 Titans. Then we make every shot count, Amara said sharply. Her eyes burned with defiance. They mocked our tanks. Let's show them what we were truly preparing for. A cheer rose from the crew. Hands flew over controls. The Vindicator's massive guns glowed brighter, casting the entire bridge in harsh blue light. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. The obelisk's energy waves swept across the fleet, shaking the Titans to their cores. Screens flickered. Gravity fields rippled. Report, Mara shouted. Dr. Chen's face was pale, his voice trembling. It's not a weapon in the way you think. The obelisk draws power from nearby stars. It can ignite or extinguish them at will. If they fire at its soul, then Earth is gone, Amara finished, her fists clenched. Not on my watch. Back in the council chamber, Lyra Vey's crystalline skin shone with a storm of colors. She turned to her fellow Ilari delegates. We must not let Zyrek unleash the obelisk. If he does, the stars themselves will burn. We cannot allow this. A thunderous voice shook the chamber. Your words betray you, Lyra Vey. Zyrek hissed from the Council's central platform. You side with the humans. I side with... Truth? She snapped back. The obelisk is not yours? It belongs to them? The humans are not children? They are returning gods. The Council gasped. The word hung in the air like a forbidden weapon. Gods. Zyrek raised his claw. Seize it. Her guards rushed toward Lyra. Crystalline shards erupted from her skin in a blaze of light, forcing them back. Her voice rang out across the chamber. To every species who values freedom, choose now. Stand with the Council's lies, or stand with humanity. The choice will decide the fate of the galaxy. Some delegates rose, unsure. Others recoiled. The chamber dissolved into violence as factions turned on one another. And far above, the obelisk pulsed again. Across distant star systems, citizens huddled around their holoscreens. On the mining worlds of the Keth, families cowered as their overlords shouted for the extermination of humanity. On the lush colonies of the Ilari, students whispered, wondering if the humans were truly the descendants of the mythic precursors. On Earth, the people watched the growing battle. Children pointed at the sky as the 8 Titans faced thousands of alien ships. Some wept in terror. Others clenched their fists with pride. In a bunker beneath the Andes, a mother whispered to her daughter, remember this moment. Humanity is. Rising, the obelisk's core finally stabilized. On the Vindicator's bridge, warning alarms shrieked. The star soul itself began to dim, its golden light flickering as if something were drinking its fire. The Earth's oceans cooled, shadows stretching across continents. Captain Amara grabbed the armrest of her chair. Hey, they're killing our son. On the Council flagship, Admiral Zyrek's mandibles clicked in savage triumph. Let the humans see darkness, he hissed. Let them beg for mercy they do not deserve. But deep inside the Vindicator, the ancient AI spoke once more, its voice shaking the walls. Captain Vance, countermeasure protocols are available. Do you authorize Starfire release? Amara's eyes widened. Her hand hovered above the command key. Billions of humans held their breath as the screen cut to black. The stars were dying. The sun itself flickered like a candle in a storm. Its golden fire dimming, shrouding half the Earth in premature night. In orbit, the Galactic Council's armada pressed closer. Thousands of silver warships aligned in a perfect killing grid. Every cannon flared with cold white plasma, forming a lattice of death. On the bridge of the UNS Vindicator, alarms howled. Hull plating vibrated like a drum. The ship's ancient AI intoned, its voice deep and resonant. Solar integrity compromised. Probability of systemic collapse 31% and rising. Captain Amara Vance stood in the command chair, her eyes locked on the display of Earth's fading star. Her throat tightened, but her voice cut through the chaos. There, trying to snuff out the sun itself. Dr. Robert Chen gripped the railing, his face pale. If they succeed, Earth will freeze in hours. Every city, every ocean, every child. The crew looked to Amara, faces lit by the eerie blue glow of the Vindicator's charging cannon. Fear twisted their expressions, but beneath it, something else stirred defiance. Amara lifted the black command key, its surface shimmering with impossible symbols. She slammed it into the control console. The Vindicator shuddered, and across Earth's orbit the Titan fleet roared to life. Authorization accepted, the AI thundered. All Titans preparing for a coordinated strike. Target, Council Armada. The alien fleet opened fire. Plasma beams cascaded downward like divine judgment. Shields at 65%, the AI reported. Recommend immediate retaliation. Mara raised her hand, voice steady despite the chaos. All ships, prepare to return fire. Screen filled with a growing sun of blue-white fire. Cut to black. The first Titan cannon ignited. A beam of energy lanced across the void, slicing straight. Through a Council destroyer, the vessel split in half, molten shards scattering into the abyss. The Council ships staggered. For centuries, they had known no equal. Now, one after another, their invincible war machines were torn apart like paper. On the alien flagship, Admiral Zyrek Tall roared in disbelief. Countermeasures, scatter formations. Overwhelm them before they charge again. But the Titans moved as one. Without hesitation, their guns synchronized. Channeling energy from the depths of their phoenix cores, each shot was a sunborn spear. Each blast a thunderclap of vengeance within minutes. Dozens of alien ships burned, their fragments orbiting Earth like falling stars. On the Vindicator's bridge, Lieutenant Rourke watched in awe. One shot, one ship destroyed. Just like that, Amara's face was lit with firelight, her jaw set. This is what they feared. Not our tanks, not our planes, the Titans. Eyes. Dr. Chen's eyes gleamed with both pride and sorrow. These ships were built for one purpose: to remind the galaxy that Earth was once a death world empire. We buried them to protect ourselves. Now we need them again. The ship jolted violently. Another Council barrage slammed into the shields. Shields at 50%, the AI warned. Sustained fire will breach within 3 minutes. Gritted her teeth. All Titans formed the Aegis wall. Interlock shields. Share the load. The 8 warships shifted position, their glowing shields overlapping until they became a massive wall of shimmering blue light around Earth. Plasma beams crashed into it, each impact sending shockwaves across the fleet. On Earth below, billions of people looked up at the sky. The shield glowed so brightly that night turned to day. Some prayed, others screamed, but many cheered. For the first time in history, humanity was not helpless. On the Council flagship, Zyrek snarled his mandibles, grinding together enough games. Focus all firepower. Break their wall. 1,000 ships turned as one. Beams of white plasma converged on the Vindicator's shield. The ship trembled violently. Alarms shrieked. Crew were thrown to the deck, shields collapsing. The eye thundered. 40%. 35. Structural stress at critical levels. Amara gripped her chair. She could feel the vibration through her bones. She thought of the billions watching below, the families in bunkers. The children clinging to hope. No retreat, she whispered. We fight. On the ground, the world held its breath, in the ruins of New York. Survivors gathered around massive screens, watching the Titans blaze in orbit. In the deserts of Africa, soldiers on the old tanks, the same machines the aliens had mocked, pointed their weapons skyward and roared in unison. Fight for Earth. Its voices echoed in every language. The Council's propaganda machine was silent. Now, entire worlds across the galaxy, once sneering at humanity, now watched their own fleets shatter against Earth's awakening Titans in the Council chamber. The alien delegates shouted at one another. Some demanded an immediate ceasefire. Others screamed for more blood. Ambassador Lyra Vey raised her crystalline hand. Look at them, she cried. They stand against 1,000 of your ships with only 8 of their own, and they are winning. Does that look like weakness? Her body shimmered with defiant light. And some of the younger delegates nodded in silent agreement, but Admiral Zyrek's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Prepare the obelisk. Humanity dies tonight. The Titans continued their assault. The UN's horizon fired again, tearing a hole through another wave of cruisers. The UN's Tempest unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts, each one splitting ships in half. But the alien fleet was relentless. Their numbers seemed endless. For every ship destroyed, 2 more pressed forward. Shields at 25%, the AI warned. Core overheating? Recommend disengagement. Amara shook her head. No, if we fall back, Earth burns. Hold formation. Her crew responded with a roar of agreement. Tears streaked faces, but their hands never wavered from their stations. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Tonight, they would prove themselves. Then the stars themselves screamed. Beyond the Council fleet, the obelisk flared to life. Its black surface split open, revealing a heart of pulsing white void. Energy poured from it, twisting space, warping the light of distant suns. On every world, alien citizens fell silent. Their cities bathed in eerie shadows as stars flickered in the night sky. Dr. Chen clutched the console. They're feeding it with stellar energy. If it fires at full power, it will tear Sol apart. On Earth, the sun dimmed again. Shadows stretched across cities. Plants began to wither. Fear spread like wildfire. On the Vindicator's bridge, Amara stared at the glowing monstrosity in horror. "How do we stop that?" she whispered. The AI's voice echoed, resonant and ancient. "Countermeasure protocol required. Authorization pending." Amara looked at Elias Corrin's holographic projection, his face hard and unreadable in the council chamber. "Commander," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "Do we use it?" Elias held up the black command key, the alien delegates watching in terror. "Humanity has been mocked for centuries," he said, "but the time for hiding is over." Inserted the key into the console. The Vindicator's core flared with impossible light. It's brighter than the dying sun itself. On the alien flagship, Zurich Tal shrieked, "They dare challenge the obelisk? Then let them burn with their world." The obelisk unleashed its beam, a river of annihilation tearing across space toward Earth. At that very instant, Titan's cannons fired in unison, their blue-white fury meeting the Void Lance head-on. The collision filled the cosmos with blinding light. The entire galaxy, watching through their holoscreens, was consumed by white fire. The screen goes black. The universe went white. The collision between the obelisk's Void Lance and the Titans. Starfire cannons rippled through the stars, tearing space like shattered glass. For 5 endless seconds, no one in the galaxy could see screens in the council chamber overloaded. Entire fleets lost their sensors. Even the sun itself flickered into shadow. On Earth, people fell to their knees as daylight vanished. The world seemed to hold its breath. Children clung to their parents, staring at a sky split between night and blinding brilliance. Then came the sound. A deep, bone-shaking roar that wasn't sound at all but vibration in the fabric of reality. Windows. It cracked stone. It made even the greatest council admirals grip their thrones in fear, and when the light cleared, half the alien armada was gone, not destroyed in flames, not scattered in debris, erased as if carved out of existence. But the obelisk still floated. There, its black heart pulsing brighter, hungrier, unstoppable. On the Vindicator's bridge, the crew blinked against the fading glare. "Status," Amara Vance demanded, voice hoarse. The AI's deep voice resonated through the command deck. "Shields at 12%. Hull integrity, compromised but stable. The obelisk is absorbing stellar energy. Output increasing exponentially. Estimated time to core overload, 8 minutes." Dr. Robert Chen was pale, his hands shaking as he scrolled through the data. "It's worse than I feared. The obelisk is not a weapon of the Council. It's a harvester. It drains suns, converts them into dark energy, and then," his voice faltered, "it collapses them into singularities. Entire star systems vanish in seconds." Amara's blood ran cold. "And they're pointing it at Sol." Chen nodded. "They don't care if it destroys their own fleet in the process. Zyrek wants to erase humanity completely." The camera zoomed in on Amara's face, bathed in the eerie blue glow of the Titan's charging systems. Her jaw clenched, her eyes burning with fire. "Then we give them something older than fear," she said. In the Council spire, alien leaders had gone from fury to raw terror. The obelisk's hologram towered above them, its black spires unfolding like a monstrous flower, veins of white light coursing through its surface. "This is madness," cried the Ilari elder. "Do you not feel it? The obelisk stirs the ancient silence. We swore never to awaken it." Zarek Tal's mandibles snapped. "The humans must be erased before they reclaim what was lost. The obelisk is the key to our survival." "Survival?" Lyra Vase spat, her crystalline form glowing with defiance. "Or conquest. You fear them because you know the truth. Humanity is not weak. They are the descendants of the First Empire. The Titans are their legacy." Several young delegates shifted nervously, torn between obedience and awe. Across the chamber, an avian senator screamed, If they are truly the heirs of the precursors, then they are the rightful rulers of us all. Do you wish to be ruled, Zyrek? Zyrek's claws slammed into the table, cracking the marble. His voice was venom. I would sooner burn the stars themselves. In orbit, the Vindicator led the charge. All Titans, focus fire on the obelisk's core, Amara commanded. Her voice carried across every channel, reaching the ears of the crews aboard the Horizon. Resolute, Aegis, Dominion, Ironclad, Tempest, Eternity. Blue-white energies surged through the colossal ships, their cannons glowing like newborn suns. Together they unleashed a synchronized barrage, lattice of light that crossed the void toward the obelisk. The alien armada tried to block the blasts, but their shields shattered instantly, ships vaporizing in waves of fire. What had once been an unstoppable fleet now burned like kindling. But the obelisk did not flinch. Its void lance flared again, swallowing the Titan's beams. The collision lit the darkness, forming a shockwave so violent that asteroids split apart and orbital stations were torn from the sky. Inside the Vindicator, consoles exploded. Crew members screamed. The ship's hull groaned as if the ancient Titan itself were in agony. Shields at 6%, the AI warned. Structural collapse imminent. Mara gripped the armrests until her knuckles turned white. She could feel the ship's power straining against her own heartbeat, as if the Titan demanded more. We can't win like this, Lieutenant Rourke shouted. That thing is eating our fire and growing stronger. Dr. Chun's face was grim. The obelisk was designed to devour energy. It's not just a weapon, it's a trap. On Earth, the effects were catastrophic. The dimming sun sent temperatures plummeting. Storms raged across the oceans. Cities lost power as solar arrays failed. In the streets, people clutched each other, watching the battle unfold in the skies. An old veteran climbed onto the roof of a crumbling building, raising a battered flag. His voice carried over the crowd. Do not fear. This is who we are. Humanity has fought through fire and ice before. We will fight again. Around him the crowd roared. Children shouted, soldiers banged their rifles against old steel tanks, and voices echoed across the world. We are humanity. The chant carried across the Council's broadcast, ringing in alien ears. For the first time, the galaxy did not hear laughter at Earth. They heard a war cry. On the bridge of the Vindicator, the AI's voice dropped to a near whisper. Captain, the Titans possess a protocol, ancient, forbidden. The Starfire release? It was designed to counter the obelisk. Amara turned, her eyes narrowing. Explain. The AI's crystalline core flared. The Titans are not ships. They're fragments of the old empire, designed to channel the heart of a star. If you authorize Starfire release, the fleet will not merely fight, it will burn the void itself. Dr. Chen paled. Amara, if you do this, the energy surge could destroy everything her ships, the enemy fleet, even us. Amara looked out at the alien armada, at the Council ships pressing forward. At the obelisk swelling with impossible power. They mocked us. They thought we were weak. Now they seek to erase our world. If we fall, humanity dies. Her voice hardened. I will not let that happen. She reached for the glowing command key, its ancient symbols blazing brighter than ever. The AI's voice thundered, echoing through every Titan warship. Starfire release pending authorization. Confirm command, Captain. Hand hovered over the console. The crew held their breath, eyes wide with fear and hope. On the Council flagship, Admiral Zyrek grinned, convinced the obelisk's growing light would soon extinguish Earth's sun. Let the galaxy watch, he snarled. Let them see humanity's final scream. Back on Earth, the skies darkened to twilight. Billions of humans, soldiers and children alike, looked up at the glowing silhouettes of their Titans. The chant rose again. Humanity endures. Amara's eyes burned with tears. She slammed the command key forward. The Vindicator's core roared like a living sun. Across the fleet, the other Titans awakened their full power. Their cannons glowing so bright they turned night into day. The obelisk's heart pulsed. Once more, then unleashed a beam of pure void aimed straight at Sol. The Titans fired back, their combined starfire spearing into the darkness. The two forces met in a cataclysm that shook the very bones of the universe. The council chamber's windows shattered. Alien leaders screamed, and then the screen went black. The universe screamed. The void lance of the obelisk slammed against the combined starfire of the 8 Titan warships. For a heartbeat, the two beams clashed in silence, a line of white fire stretching across the solar system. Then the heavens convulsed. Planets shuddered in their orbits. Asteroids shattered into glittering shards. Earth's oceans rose in colossal waves, entire coastlines swallowed by walls of water. Billions watched as the sky above them burned, the Titans shining like blue suns while the alien superweapon poured death into the void. On the Vindicator's bridge, alarms wailed. The deck shook as if the ship were being torn apart at the seams. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Crew members clung to their stations, faces twisted with terror and awe, shields collapsing. The AI roared. 15%. 12%. 9 Amara Vance gripped the armrests of her command chair, her voice hoarse but steady. Hold the line. If we fail, Earth dies tonight. The camera zooms in on her eyes burning. With defiance, wet with tears. She knows this may be humanity's last stand. The screen trembles. The clash of beams grows brighter, swallowing everything in light. On Earth's surface, the sun faltered, its golden warmth dimmed to a sickly orange, casting half the planet into an early dusk. In New Delhi, children clutched their parents. New York survivors huddled in crumbling towers. In Nairobi, soldiers stood atop ancient tanks, chanting humanity's name into the growing storm. All across the planet, people screamed, prayed, or sang. Humanity's history, war, famine, plagues, resilience seemed to culminate in this single moment. Either they would rise into legend or vanish into silence. Far away in the council spire, the alien leaders watched the cosmic battle unfold. The chamber itself trembled as shockwaves rippled across subspace. "They are matching the obelisk," shouted a scaled Velen, panic breaking. Through his usual arrogance, "This cannot be," cried an avian senator, feathers bristling with fear. "Your weapon feeds on suns." Lirave snapped, her crystalline body glowing bright with defiance. "If it destroys Sol, the galaxy itself will shudder. You will doom us all." Admiral Zyrek Tal slammed his claws against the council floor. "Do not be deceived by their posturing. The obelisk is eternal. Their relics are a flicker. Crush them." But even as he spoke, dozens of council warships crumbled under the Titan fleet's fire. The galaxy, watching through billions of holoscreens, saw their champions reduced to dust. For the first time in millennia, the council looked afraid. On board the Vindicator, the crew fought to keep the ship alive. "Core temperature at 112%, shouted Dr. Robert Chen, sweat dripping down his forehead. "If we sustain this output any longer, the core will breach. We'll detonate ourselves before they ever touch us." Amara turned to him, her voice sharp. "Then we'll burn together. Humanity will not bow." Lieutenant Rourke's hands shook as he worked the weapons console. "Captain, the Vanguard reports critical damage. It can't hold position." On the view screen, the Vanguard, one of the smaller Titans, burned from bow to stern. Hull plates peeled away like paper. Inside, human soldiers scrambled, some firing at boarding parties of insectoid troops that had teleported aboard, the Vanguards. "Captain," a woman with blood across her face, appeared on coms Captain Vance. "It's been an honor." Before Amara could reply, the Vanguard's engines ignited at full thrust. The massive ship plowed straight into the heart of the council. Formation, its core overloading. A sun was born in the dark. The explosion tore through hundreds of alien warships, leaving only burning wreckage drifting in the void. On Earth, billions cheered, their cries echoing across cities. But on the Vindicator's bridge, the crew sat in silence, watching their sister ship's destruction. Amara bowed her head. "Your sacrifice will not be forgotten." But the obelisk was not done. Its black spires cracked open wider. revealing a pulsing core that throbbed with the energy of stolen stars. Space itself bent around it, warping into impossible shapes. The AI's voice grew grim. Gravitational. Anomalies detected. Probability of systemic collapse has risen to 52%. Chin's hands flew across the console. The obelisk is feeding on the Vanguard's explosion. It's growing stronger. Amara slammed her fist on the armrest. We can't just keep firing. There has to be another way. The AI's crystalline. Core flared. Starfire release remains an option. But Captain, activation requires full synchronization. The Titans must merge with yours. If you fail, both you and the Vindicator will perish. Amara's eyes hardened. Then we don't fail. Meanwhile, inside the council chamber, chaos had turned to violence. Armored guards swarmed toward Ambassador Lirave, their plasma blades. Crackling, but she stood unafraid. Shards of crystal erupted from her body, forming a glittering barrier around her. The air itself shimmered with light. You would silence me? She cried. You would destroy a star, and with it countless. Lives simply to preserve your pride? The council speaker bellowed. Seize her traitorous form. But before the guards could strike, a roar echoed across the chamber. A group of Avar warriors, tall and broad-shouldered, stepped forward, weapons raised. Touch her, and you answer. To us, half the chamber erupted in cheers. The other half hissed in fury. The Council of the Galaxy was splitting in real time. They lived before trillions of viewers. Elias Corrin stood still in the center, silent, watching the unity of the galaxy fracture like glass under a hammer. For the first time, the Council itself was at war. On the Vindicator, the countdown ticked away. Core overload in 5 minutes, the AI warned. Obelisk energy output now surpasses Titan threshold. The crew looked to Amara, their faces pale, some with tears streaking down soot-stained cheeks. She could feel their fear, but she also saw something else in their eyes' faith. They believed. They believed in her. They believed in humanity. Amara closed her eyes, steadying her breath. She thought of the laughter in the council chamber. She thought of Earth's children staring at the dimming sun. She thought of the billions who had endured wars, plagues, and ruin, only to rise again and again. When she opened her eyes, they blazed like fire. Prepare for synchronization, she ordered. The AI's voice deepened, resonant and ancient, acknowledged. Starfire release requires full neural integration. Warning, risk of total neural collapse 7%. Amara stood tall. If humanity must burn to survive, then we burn together. The obelisk's void heart reached its peak, pulsing brighter than the dying sun. A beam of annihilation. Gathered thick enough to swallow entire fleets. On the Vindicator's bridge, Amara placed both hands on the glowing console. The ancient symbols flared, searing her skin with light. She screamed but did not pull away. Synchronization at 50%, the AI thundered. 60%. 70%. Warning neural strain critical. Dr. Chen shouted. Amara, stop. It'll tear your mind apart. Amara's body trembled, but her voice cut through the storm. For Earth. For humanity. Fire. The Titans roared. As 8 colossal beams of starfire burst forth, colliding with the obelisk's void lance, in a storm of light so bright it turned the entire galaxy white dot in the council chamber. Alien leaders shielded their eyes. Some cried out in terror, others fell to their knees, and then the universe went silent. The screen fades to black. The galaxy was blind. The clash between the obelisk's void lance and the Titan's starfire had unleashed a storm so bright that every star-field vanished into a sea of white fire. Civilizations on distant worlds panicked, believing the cosmos itself was ending. In the darkness of Earth's shadow, the UNS Vindicator shuddered. Metal screamed as if the ship were alive and in pain. On the bridge, Captain Amara Vance pressed, both palms against the burning console, her veins glowing with the same furious light that coursed through the Titan's core. Synchronization at 93%. AI thundered. Neural stability critical. Dr. Robert Chen shouted over the roar. Amara, your mind won't survive this. Her eyes snapped open, blazing like twin stars. She whispered so only the galaxy could hear, "Better my mind than my world." Then the Vindicator's cannon unleashed its full fury. The 8 Titans fired together, their beams weaving into a single river of incandescent power. It met the obelisk's void, lance head-on. The collision ripped the fabric of space apart. Light and darkness twisted into each other, spiraling like dueling serpents. The shockwave slammed into the Council fleet, crushing entire ships into molten fragments. On the Council flagship, Admiral Zyrek Tall staggered, his armored carapace cracking under the pressure. "Wait, this is not possible," he roared. "No power rivals the obelisk." But the screens told the truth. The Titan's combined fire was pushing back. Slowly, agonizingly, the river of Starfire advanced, burning away the void lance, inch by inch. On Earth's surface, people watched in silence. The sky was still dim, sun shrouded, but above the clouds they saw it, a column of blue-white light stretching into the heavens, colliding with a beam of pure darkness. The clash painted the world in shifting. Colors blue, white, black, and crimson. Old women clutched prayer beads. Soldiers on ancient tanks raised rifles in salute. Children cried and pointed at the sky. "We are not weak," one old man whispered. "We are human, and we fight." The chant began again. "Humanity endures. Humanity endures." Their voices rose, carried by every broadcast, echoing across the galaxy. On the Vindicator, Amara's body shook violently. Blood trickled from her nose. The command key burned against her palms, fusing with the ship's systems. Synchronization complete, the AI declared, "Warning, human neural capacity exceeded. Risk of permanent mind loss imminent." Amara gasped, but forced her voice steady. "All Titans maintain formation. Pour everything we have into the Starfire. This is our stand." On the Unsirenclad, Captain Reyes turned to his crew. "She's giving everything. We will not fail her." The Ironclad's cannon roared, joining the stream of power. The Horizon and Resolute followed, their cores glowing so brightly that Earth's oceans shimmered with reflected light. The obelisk groaned across the void, its black stone cracking under the storm. But its void heart pulsed harder, drawing more and more power from Sol. Chen's voice shook. "Captain, the sun is destabilizing. If it collapses, it will take us all." Amara's lips curved into a faint, defiant smile, and we burned brighter than any star. On the far side of the galaxy, trillions of aliens fell silent. The Council's broadcast showed them everything. The Titans, glowing like gods, defying the ancient weapon that even the oldest races feared. The myth of human weakness was collapsing before their eyes. On the Council floor, some delegates screamed for surrender. Others clung to Zyrek, begging him to deactivate the obelisk. But Zyrek's rage consumed him. "They will never rule us," he roared. "Better the galaxy burn than bow to Deathworlders." Lyra Vey stood tall, her crystalline form shining like a beacon. She turned to the others and shouted above the chaos, "Open your eyes. Humanity is not our end. They are our beginning. The First Empire has returned." Gasps filled the chamber. The word Empire echoed through the hall like thunder. In orbit, the Titans strained against the storm. The beams collided in a blinding flash of energy. A cosmic tug-of-war fought on the edge of a dying sun. Then something changed. The Un's eternity. The largest of the Titan fleet drifted forward. Its massive core glowed with a brilliance that dwarfed even the others. The Aya's voice boomed across every ship, engaging Omega Convergence Protocol. All Titans synchronized with eternity. Blue lines of energy lanced between the ships, linking them in a vast web. The 8 Titans became one mind, one weapon. On the Vindicator's bridge, Amara felt the sudden weight of 7 more consciousnesses flood into her own. It was overwhelming millions of human voices, thousands of crew, and the ancient memories. Of the Titans themselves, she screamed, but she held. The beams surged forward. The obelisk shuddered. Its black spires cracked apart, shards breaking loose and spiraling into the void. His void heart flared, brighter than any sun fighting to consume the Titan's light. For a moment, it seemed the beams were locked forever, light and darkness frozen in battle. Then, with a soundless detonation that shook galaxies, Starfire broke through. The obelisk's core shattered. A wave of blinding white light raced outward, tearing through what remained of the Council's fleet. Dreadnoughts disintegrated. In silence, their shadows burning onto the void. The obelisk cracked open like shattered glass, its fragments glowing red-hot before scattering into the abyss. And then, as suddenly as it began, the void fell silent. The sun flared back to life, blazing brighter than ever. Earth's skies lit up with golden light once more. On the ground, humanity roared with joy, tears streaming down their faces. Soldiers hugged, children danced. Entire cities shouted one word into the heavens: victory. On the Vindicator's bridge, smoke filled the air. Systems flickered. Crew members groaned, some injured, some gone. Amara slumped in her chair, her hands still fused to the console. Her eyes glowed faintly blue, her breathing shallow. Captains. Neural patterns unstable, the AI reported. Her consciousness is merging. Dr. Chen knelt beside her, voice breaking. Amara, stay with us. You can't leave now. Humanity needs you. Ah. Her eyes opened slowly. For a heartbeat, they glowed with a light that was not her own. When she spoke, her voice carried an ancient weight. We are awake, she whispered. Not just Amara, but the Titans themselves speaking through her. And we remember. The crew stared in stunned silence. In the council chamber, silence reigned. Alien leaders stared at the shattered image of the obelisk. For millennia, it had been their ultimate weapon, their guarantee of dominance. It was nothing but shards, drifting cold through the void. The Velen warlord trembled, his scaled hands shaking. The humans. They destroyed it. One by one, alien leaders lowered their heads. The galaxy had mocked Earth as a primitive death world. Now they saw the truth. Humanity was the heir of the stars. Lyra Vey stepped forward, her crystalline body glowing like dawn. The age of fear is over. The humans have returned. The council must kneel. Round her, delegates bowed their heads not in mockery, but in reverence, far beyond the council's reach. In the blackest void, a shard of the shattered obelisk drifted silently, but it did not fade. Its core pulsed once. Then again, a signal rippled outward, cold, ancient, and hungry. On the Vindicator's bridge, Amara's glowing eyes widened. She whispered words that chilled her crew to the bone. They heard us. Across the galaxy, far beyond even the Council's maps. Something older than the Council, older than humanity, older than the stars themselves. Stirred, the screen fades to black.